Freed people in Corinth began working at an array of jobs as soon as they arrived in camp. The army employed many as laborers to repair railroads, refurbish fortifications, and provide other services that supported the Union war effort, work for which they were paid, although not always in a timely manner. A key reason the camp took on a productive routine is the variety of skills the refugees collectively brought with them, the kind of skills that could establish and sustain a community. In March 1863, the camp superintendent reported that Corinth was home to 3,657 freedmen, 658 men, 1,440 women, and 1,559 children. Among them were 48 carpenters, 36 blacksmiths, 800 cooks, 159 laundresses, 80 seamstresses, and 180 teamsters. There were 900 cases of illness, 89 deaths, and 45 births. Life in the camp was never without hardship, and the freed men quickly recognized that whatever benefited the Union Army benefited themselves as well. Interaction with Union soldiers was the freedmen's first real engagement with the federal government, and both were deeply impacted by the realities of the new relationship. Not all who wore the uniform of a Union soldier liked the idea. General Stephen Hurlbut believed the contraband camps were a mere excuse for misplaced charity, but others, including Generals Grant and Dodge, recognized the moral imperative as well as the practical benefits. Grant said that taking freedmen away from Confederate hands aided the Union war effort as much as capturing Confederate soldiers. Union troops began conducting raids into North Alabama to disrupt Confederate supply lines and, before long, to liberate slaves. As one observer noted, a cavalry raid went out this morning which will break the chains of the captive and bring him into our lines of free men. For their part, freed men were more than ready to serve and sacrifice in whatever way they could for liberty and citizenship.